Devin Clark was last seen on Friday, September the 16th at approximately 11 p.m. He left his home with his cell phone and his book sack. On Sunday, September the 18th, around 3 p.m., two bodies were found. On Monday, September 19th, the bodies were identified to be the remains of Lyric, Woods, and Devin Clark. But something's still missing. Devin left home with his book sack and his cell phone, and those items have yet to be recovered. I wonder where they are. Who has them? And why? I thought maybe once the alleged killer was brought in, arrested, obtained, that I would feel a little better. But just because they have the suspect in custody now, I still feel the same. And I think that's because, every day I learn something new, and it puts me in a space that I don't like to be in, because I go to asking so many questions and these questions will never probably get answered. And it's just so heartbreaking to know that, I'm not even a part of the family. And I am just so frustrated for this family, for both of the families. It's just, I cannot imagine what they're going through. It's just heartbreaking. And it's like, it's just never ending. And, 9 times out of 10, will the questions ever get answered? And it's just so hard for me to conceive the fact that this individual was so mean and hateful that he brutally killed these kids. But yet, his rights are protected. He has to be protected from us when he's the one who did what he did. How is that right for the kids that got murdered? How is that justice for Lyric and Devin? What about their rights? This bastard, and excuse me, I'm sorry, but I'm frustrated. This bastard has more rights than these kids did. He is protected. Nobody protected Devin and Lyric. Nobody. But the alleged killer is being protected. The alleged killer was given the opportunity to possibly hurt another person, or more than one person. The alleged killer has been out over 2 weeks after murdering these kids, allegedly. And his rights are protected. I don't even know what to say at this point. It sickens me. It sickens me to my stomach to know that this person has more rights than these kids who were brutally murdered. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because right now it doesn't. But I swear, every day this gets more complicated than I ever could imagine it would be. Prior to the letter that I read to Sheriff Blackwood, I really didn't think about the crime scene. I mean, I just really didn't analyze it. I just was like, well, that's where they were discovered. But after seeing the photo and after reading the letter, I did reanalyze the crime scene. And I really don't believe that's where the kids were murdered. I don't believe it. But I read something today, and it was a statement by Joe Concepcion, who is Devin's uncle. After reading what he said, it put my head in a headspin once again. And I think I read it like 10 times just to make sure I was reading it correctly. Because that's just how it just wasn't clicking. I'm like, this can't be what I just read. Let me read this again, because maybe I'm not seeing the right thing. But I was reading exactly what I saw. And I want to share it with you guys to get your input. What's your take on this? We can't find his phone. We don't know where his backpack is, Concepcion said about his nephew. We don't know nothing. We didn't even have an open casket. They had to put the pieces back together. Let me read it one more time. We can't find his phone. We don't know where his backpack is, Concepcion said about his nephew. We don't know nothing. We didn't even have an open casket. They had to put the pieces back together. When they say we had to put the pieces back together, they were talking about Devin's remains. So you mean to tell me Devin wasn't just murdered, it was an overkill? After reading that paper, it was so hard for me to even formulate the right words to say it, because looking at it on paper was one thing, but to actually have to say it, that hurts. And it's heartbreaking, because this child just wasn't killed. He was brutalized. This killer had some hatred stored in their heart. A complete overkill. As if shooting them and killing them wasn't enough. You really had to take it all the way there, right? This is unheard of. This is so hurt. This is so painful, you guys. I mean, it just breaks my heart, because it's so hard to believe that there are people in this world who are capable of doing stuff like this. And this is not normal. It's not normal. So it really makes me wonder, what else has this individual done? Is this the first time they've done something like this? I guess we'll never know about that either, right? Because this person is very well protected. But Devin and Lyric wasn't. Make it make sense. I can't even wrap my head around that. It's already painful that I know they were murdered, but the fact that this child's body was in that condition, that much brutality, that was serious. Somebody really felt some type of way to do that to his remains. That's crazy. They had to literally put this child's back together. That's how much he was riddled in that many bullets. That's crazy. And it also makes me wonder, because the neighbor said that he heard like 13 shots or whatever. He said he heard like 1, 2, 3, and then it was quiet for a second. And then he just heard like a round of shots. For Devin's body to be brutalized in such a manner, I'm sure he wasn't shot like at least 3 or 4 times. I don't even think, if his body was in that bad of a condition, what did they shoot him with? A Glock or something? I mean, he wasn't a big kid. He was tall, but he wasn't big. So what did they shoot him with? A MAC-10? A Glock? For his body to have to literally be put back together? So let's go there. Tell me how this is a crime. Is this a crime scene? If his body was in that condition, where's the evidence? If he was shot so many times, if his body was riddled in bullets to where he was basically tore up and had to be put back together, please tell me where the evidence is. Where? I'm glad they didn't do that to Lyric. But Devin didn't deserve it either. Please tell me where the body was. Where? And this is the other thing. Okay, so I really started thinking about that, like I said, and I was like, okay, well, no, I don't think the crime scene was there. But also, here's another thing. Even if the crime scene was somewhere else, if he was transported to this location, where is the evidence? If his body was in that condition, you guys, there's still, even if that was not the crime scene, even if that was not the initial crime scene, he was still transported to that area. So there still should have been some type of blood or something. Something. If his body was tore up and riddled with bullets to the point where he had to be put back together, even if that was not the crime scene, where is the evidence? Because you can't, okay, did they wrap him up? Was he wrapped up in a blanket and then wrapped up with in a garbage bag or something? It's not making sense. It's not making sense at all. And the fact that his book bag is missing and his cell phone is still missing, where are those items? Who have them? This just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense. This is deep. This is deep because this person, I feel like if this is an individual that actually murdered Lyric and Devin, this person had a lot of envy in their heart, hatred to do what they did to Devin. That's hate. That's personal. That's an overkill. I'm sorry. The child wasn't big. He was only tall, so it really didn't take that much. You didn't have to do him like that. But that is exactly why in my other video, when his mom and the family was at the crime scene, she said, I want justice. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get justice for my son because he didn't deserve to get brutalized the way he was. And that's exactly why she said what she said. That's exactly why they told her that she couldn't see his body. She would have to identify him through his clothing or fingerprints. And we know it wasn't fingerprints because Devin didn't have a record. Devin has never been in trouble any day in his life. So he didn't have a criminal record. So it wasn't going to happen that way. So Devin literally really had to be identified by the remnants of his clothes. That is ridiculous. This woman, how can she possibly grieve? And she didn't even get to see her child. Yes, he was murdered. But she didn't even get to see her baby for the last time. She had to identify him based on his clothes. You guys, can y'all understand? This is crazy. This is not no just murder. Oh, no, it's something deep. Because whoever this person is, they had something deep rooted in them. This is evil. And I feel like this. If you didn't care for Devin or Lyric, I don't even know how it happened. I don't know what their relationship is because now I see things saying, oh, they were acquaintances. I don't know. I don't know if they were just friends or what. But my thing is, whoever this person is, the alleged killer, when you were with them, was that your intent from the start to kill them? Because if you didn't like them, or why would you even be around them? Why would you put yourself in that situation to put yourself in a situation to do what you did if you didn't care for them? Because I know for me, I don't know about everyone else, but if I don't like a person, I'm not going to be around you. I don't have to kill you, but you won't see me. We won't be in the same circle. You can believe that. So Did this person get those two kids together with the intent to kill them? Did they get upset over something? Like, it's not making sense. But the fact it was something personal, the way Devin was brutally murdered.
The top of a red cross can be seen from Buckhorn Road, and from the air it's surrounded by flowers, marking the site where two teenagers were found dead Sunday afternoon.
And I heard about close to 10 shots going off like an automatic gun, and then a pause for a little bit, and then 5 more shots went off.
David White lives just feet away from where an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old were found dead with gunshot wounds. The Orange County Sheriff's Office said 2 men riding four-wheelers discovered the bodies.
But he never hurt nobody. And for him to get done like this is I have to have answers.
Tiffany Concepcion is the mother of Devin Clark, an Eastern Alamance High School football player. She filed a missing persons report about an hour before her son was found next to 14-year-old Lyric Woods, a teen she says was her son's friend.
He was an athletic person. He was a good person. He was a good friend. He had a good heart.
Lyric Woods' family reported her missing on Saturday afternoon. An incident report says that Woods' stepfather last saw her home around 11 p.m. on Friday. He went to wake her up Saturday morning, but she was gone. Authorities checked hunting stands and backwood trails and used a canine to search for Lyric, her scent taking the dog into these woods. The report also states a neighbor said they saw Woods riding in a vehicle near where she was found around 3 a.m. on Saturday. Deputies believe Woods got a ride from someone in that car.
Where's the other person? Who's the person that picked either one of them up? Who is the person or people that dropped them off?
I took some time and I reanalyzed the 911 caller's conversation with dispatch. And I don't know, you guys. Now I know everyone's different. Everyone handles things differently. I get that. Okay. So let me say that first and foremost. However, I would think that if someone was to stumble across the remains of 2 kids that were killed, and one of the bodies being like in the worst condition possible, I would think that I would have a little bit more of a sense of urgency in my voice. I would be upset. Well, I ain't gonna tell you what I would be, because I would probably be on the ground screaming, kicking, and everything else. But everybody's not me. But I'm just saying. The caller was very calm, cool, and collected. Like very, and I get it. They might be hunters. They probably kill a lot of deers, and they're used to seeing that type of thing. But that's a body. I mean, that's human remains. It's kind of different from animal remains. You get it? But the caller was very calm, cool, and collected. And there really was no sense of urgency. It's just like he was calling and saying, hey, I stubbed my toe. It hurts, but I'm just going to elevate my feet. It was just, he was so nonchalant about it. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like I would just think that if anybody like come across the remains of bodies in that condition, like I'm not saying you have to be hysterical, but I would just think that, and he's not giving me what I would have expected, And another thing that kind of caught me off guard is he was trying to ask the dispatcher if he could leave. And the dispatch was like, well, no, I need you to stay there because, when the law enforcement comes, you can be there and you can point him in the right direction. But he wanted to leave. And I found that kind of like, if you found the body, why would you want to leave? Like, wouldn't you want to stay there so you can let the cops know exactly what happened? Like when you walked up and you found the bodies, like, they might have some questions for you. Not saying that you're connected, but I'm just saying, like, you're a witness. You're a witness. But that person wanted to leave. I don't know. That really made me feel some type of way. I don't know if there's anything to it. I'm not trying to reach too far, but I'm just saying, I'm just analyzing some things over, and I caught that, I'm like, wait a minute, why? Okay, well, very calm person, very cool. But you just came across the remains of 2 kids that were killed, and you have no sense of urgency in your voice. You don't even seem like you care, you know? And I'm just saying, they said Devin's body was in pieces. So I would have been at least shooken up a bit, like that didn't get you hyped or nothing. Like it just wasn't nothing. Like, that's a normal thing that you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing that type of stuff. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to just think of how they possibly may be thinking, like, but that's just something I wanted to touch on. Just a little something that, came to my attention. I kind of thought about that, and I'm like, wait, why would they want to leave? Like, I would think that person would want to stay so they could be as helpful as they can to the police officers. But hey, and it's probably, they probably didn't want to make the phone call the way they're acting. So, I mean, stay. Oh no, why should I stay and wait till the cop come? Like, for what? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that part.
Orange County 911. What's the address of the emergency?
I guess the officers probably need to respond non-emergency, but it is a pretty serious issue. I would like to speak to the officer in person, but what we have found is we've actually discovered 2 dead bodies.
Okay, give me one moment.
I don't know if it was.
What's the address as to where this is?
At the residence?
Yeah, what's the address as to where you found the bodies?
There's not an address. It's kind of, there's no house where we found the bodies.
Okay, is there a cross street or anything?
It's in Buckhorn and Yarborough? Yes, it's at the end of Buckhorn and Yarborough Road.
Okay. Give me one moment. And what's the telephone number you're calling me from?
The telephone number is my cell phone number.
And what is that?
This is 14. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
And where exactly near this location did you find them?
The what?
Exactly where are the bodies?
There's an access to, like, where the power company cut a road in.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just laying around the side of the road.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and notify an officer and have them to come out and speak with you in reference to this.
Is there any need for me to meet the officer there to show them where this is, or do you think they can find it, or?
If you could just remain on scene so they can know where to locate it.
All right, we'll go back to the scene because we came home.
In one of my previous videos, I did indicate, and I thought it was the sweetest thing, because I said even in death, her grandfather was still so concerned about Lyric, and that was so touching and so sweet. But I mentioned, he put the lights at the memorial site because he said Lyric was afraid of the dark. But when the police, when they took the hound dog to sniff Lyric's clothing or pillowcase to get her scent, the dog took that way through that field, in the mile between her house and the open road. And I'm kind of wondering, why did she take that route? Like, if she's afraid of the dark, that's a nice way to go at that time of the night. And as you can see, total darkness. There's only a little light because there's light at the memorial site now. But just imagine at that time when she was walking that way, it was total darkness. And another thing is, maybe the person she was meeting with, maybe they just parked there and they went to the back of Lyric's house until she came outside, and maybe they walked together that way. That's a possibility. But I'm just wondering, because the dogs actually sniffed that way. Why would they take that route? Like, that's a nice ways to go. That's like less than a half a mile. I'm sorry, that's kind of far. Like, you're gonna have to park a little closer, and you know, we're not about to walk through this field like this. No, you know. But it's just something to think about. Like, and I know, like, when teens, when they have their mind set to do something, they don't care what they have to do. They're gonna make it happen. So maybe it was that type of situation. Maybe she just was so excited to leave and to go wherever they were going. She just, wasn't afraid of the dark that night. But it's just something to think about. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Something else I also wanted to touch bases on is from the law enforcement stance. How are they supposed to handle the victim's family? So let me explain what I'm saying. In this situation, once they arrested the alleged murderer of Lyric and Devin, are they supposed to notify the family that the suspect was arrested? I understand in this situation, the suspect is 17, which is a minor, and I understand that they cannot disclose any information at all. So I understand that. I get that. But I mean, is there no courtesy call to the family, to both families, to let them know that the suspect has been apprehended? Like, do they not do, calls like that? Because, according to Devin's uncle Joe, the family wasn't notified. And they've been really frustrated because they really feel like they have been left out of so much stuff. And that's heartbreaking to me. They didn't know that the alleged killer was picked up and arrested until after they watched it on the news. So Devin's mom didn't know that the person that allegedly killed her child was arrested. She didn't know he was apprehended. She watched the news and found out like everybody else did. And I don't know, you guys. I mean, that's just not cool to me. Like, I mean, I'm not involved with law enforcement. I don't know the law, but I'm just thinking that wouldn't they call the family and let them know what's going on? Like I said, I know they cannot give out any information about the suspect, but like, couldn't they call the family to at least let them know that the person has been apprehended? Like, just out of common courtesy? I don't know. And I find that kind of, it just doesn't sit right with me. But if anybody know about the law, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments about that, let me know in the comments, like, how would that be handled? Do they notify the family? Do they contact the family to let them know what's going on? Like, as far as the person being arrested, like, how is that supposed to be done? How is that supposed to be handled? As I stated before, I'm going to follow this case until the very end. And to Lyric and Devin's family, I want to let you guys know that you have a whole bunch of people out here that care about you, and we're praying for you guys. I could not imagine what you're going through right now, but I just want you guys to know that we love you and we support you guys. And Lyric and Devin, you guys are amazing. You weren't here for a very long time, but I promise you have definitely left your mark. Rest in peace, beautiful angels. Justice will be served.